the beginning, before the first dawn or the last dusk, there was a silence so deep that it seemed to hum with invisible life. It was not emptiness, but a vast, waiting breath, as though the universe itself was pausing before a great story began. No stars yet shimmered, no wind yet stirred, and even the thought of time had not yet been born. From this stillness came a slow inhalation, as if some hidden ancient being was drawing in the void itself. Then, with the gentlest of exhalations, something new emerged, a trembling tendril, the first root, feeling its way through the unshaped dark. Others followed, curling, stretching, branching outward, until there were 3 great roots, each destined to drink from the fountains of eternity. One found the Well of Erd, a luminous spring where the Norns, mysterious sisters beyond age, would one day weave the fates of all living things, their fingers tracing patterns no eye could ever fully understand. Another root delved into Mimisbrunner, the Well of Wisdom, hidden in the shadowed depths, where knowledge swam like silver-scaled fish, waiting for those bold enough to sacrifice for it. The last root reached into the icy mists of Fergelmir, where frost-born rivers tumbled from the shadow of the dragon Nidugr, its teeth forever gnawing at the tree's hidden heart. Above, the trunk began to rise, knot by knot, ring by ring, lifting itself into the darkness that would one day hold the stars. Its bark was silver and gold in places, rough and warm in others, as if the very seasons had left their fingerprints upon it. From its crown, great branches unfurled, spreading like open arms into the unending distance. They would cradle the 9 realms, though the realms themselves still slept, nameless and unborn, in their vast embrace. There, in the shadowed cradle of Yggdrasil, the dreams of worlds began to form. A city of gold would one day gleam upon the highest branch, home to gods whose eyes shone brighter than the heavens. A middle realm of earth and sea would awaken, where humankind would light fires to keep back the dark. Farther still there would be lands of endless ice and realms of unquenchable fire, places where giants, serpents, and beings older than memory would shape the tides of fate. The roots whispered to each other across the great distances of the tree. They spoke not in words, but in feelings, warmth, longing, sorrow, and joy. They murmured of songs yet to be sung, battles yet to be fought, and of endings that were merely beginnings in disguise. For Yggdrasil already knew what mortals would struggle to accept, that life and death are but 2 sides of the same leaf. Some say that even now, if you lie alone in the deep forest and press your ear to the earth, you might hear it, the faint hum of the world tree's heartbeat carrying the whispers of creation. And so Yggdrasil stood, before the sun learned to rise and set, before gods claimed their thrones, before mortals built their homes. Beneath its roots was the memory of nothingness. Above its branches, the promise of everything. Far above the mortal lands of Midgard, where clouds gather like drifting islands and the light of the sun falls in long golden streams, there is a realm untouched by the restless pace of time. Its name is Asgard, the shining realm of the gods, a place of harmony, grandeur, and unbroken calm. Those who would look upon Asgard from afar, perhaps through the shimmering arc of Bifrost, might first think they are gazing at the crown of the sky itself. Golden towers rise like rays of frozen sunlight, and the great halls spread their roofs wide like protective wings. Between them, gardens blossom in colors so vivid they seem woven from dreams rather than soil. The air is never heavy here. It carries the faint fragrance of distant meadows, the cool taste of water drawn from the purest springs, and the quiet hum of something vast and eternal. Morning in Asgard comes not with a sudden rush of light, but with a slow, gentle unfurling, as though the realm itself is reluctant to wake too quickly. First, a pale shimmer touches the edges of the towers, and the dew upon the grass begins to glow. Then, one by one, the shadows retreat, not hurriedly, but as if politely making way for the day. Along the eastern edge of the realm, Bifrost glows faintly in the dawn. Its colors, ruby, emerald, sapphire, soften under the mist that drapes across the sky. At its far end, steadfast as ever, stands Heimdall, guardian of the bridge. His posture is unshaken, his gaze steady, yet there is no tension in his form. He watches not with suspicion, but with a kind of serene attentiveness, as though every shift in the air, every tremor beneath the bridge, is part of a story he has heard 1,000 times before. One hand rests on the hilt of Gjallarhorn, though he does not yet raise it. That day, when its call will echo across the 9 realms, lies somewhere in the distance. Deeper into Asgard, the streets open wide, paved with stone so smooth that footfalls make no sound. The homes here are crafted with the same care as the halls of kings. Each carved lintel, each painted shutter tells a quiet tale. Some depict the flowing forms of rivers and winds, others the curling shapes of roots and branches, as though all of Asgard wishes to remember its connection to Yggdrasil. At the heart of the realm stands Valhalla, its walls a blend of gold and weathered wood, its roof high enough to hold the dreams of every warrior who ever lived. In the morning light, the great doors are closed, but a warm glow seeps through the seams, hinting at the hearth within. Ravens perch along the roof beams, Hugin and Munin among them, silent for now, but their black eyes catch every glimmer of the day. Inside, the hall is still. The long tables, polished to a deep sheen, stand ready for feasts not yet begun. The air smells faintly of wood smoke, of bread once baked, and of mead still resting in barrels. In this hour, the only sound is the soft creak of the timbers and the whisper of air through the high windows. It is in these quiet moments that Odin sometimes walks alone. His cloak brushes the floor as he moves, and the silver clasp at his shoulder catches the light. His single eye does not dart or scan. It drifts, as though every object, every shadow is already known to him. He passes the hearth and rests his hand for a moment on its carved stone, perhaps remembering the countless tales told before its fire. Then, with a slow breath, he moves on, his presence lingering like a thought one cannot quite name. Beyond Valhalla's steps lies a path toward the gardens of Frigg. High hedges line the way, sheltering it from the wind. Here, the air grows warmer, scented with blossoms that bend gently toward the light. Bees move lazily among them, their wings catching the sun like shards of amber. In the heart of the garden, a small fountain sends a thread of water into a pool surrounded by lilies. Frigg walks here in the early hours, her gown whispering against the grass, her hands trailing lightly over the petals. She smiles at each bloom as though greeting an old friend. The western edge of Asgard holds the lake, its surface so still that it mirrors the sky without flaw. Swans drift across it, their movements slow and deliberate, leaving ripples that stretch toward the far shore. There are those who say these swans are messengers, their white feathers carrying the words of gods across the waters. Whether this is truth or tale, no one seems in a hurry to prove it. Above the lake rise smaller halls and terraces, where the gods often gather not for council or celebration, but simply to watch the world below. Thor is sometimes seen here, Mjolnir at his side, though his hands rest upon it lightly. In these moments he does not look like the Stormbringer of sagas, but like a man sitting beside a sleeping fire, content in the stillness. As the day passes, the light in Asgard shifts almost imperceptibly. By afternoon it carries a deeper gold, as though the sun wishes to linger here longer than anywhere else. The shadows lengthen gently, stretching across the streets and gardens like the slow turning of a page. Voices rise in quiet conversation, gods speaking to one another across balconies, or greeting travelers who have crossed Bifrost. In the evening, torches are lit, their flames small compared to the grandeur of the realm, yet warm and comforting. Music sometimes drifts through the air, the pluck of a harp, the low hum of a drum, the kind of melodies that seem to belong to no single player but to the place itself. The scent of baking bread returns, mingling with the faint aroma of herbs carried from the kitchens. When night falls, it is not sudden. The sky deepens by degrees, the gold fading into indigo, then into the soft black of velvet. Stars appear one by one, as if shy, until the whole sky is scattered with them. From the terraces they seem close enough to touch. The constellations are not quite the same as those seen from Midgard. They shift subtly, forming patterns that mortals might never recognize. In these hours, Asgard is quieter still. The gardens close their petals, the swans tuck their heads beneath their wings, and even the watch at Bifrost feels less like a guard and more like a gentle vigil. The realm breathes slowly, in and out, like a sleeper in the depths of rest. Somewhere, perhaps in a hall unseen, a single harp continues to play. The notes are soft, spaced far apart, each one fading before the next begins. It is the kind of music that carries the listener toward dreams without their even noticing. The moon in Asgard does not rise like it does in Midgard. Here it appears almost as though it has always been present, hidden behind the lingering light of day, waiting for its moment to shine. When it does, its silver glow rests softly on the rooftops and gilded spires, washing the gardens and halls in a gentle luminescence. Shadows take on a softer edge, and the waters of the lake turn into a mirror of liquid light. Down the main avenue, lanterns flicker with steady golden flames. Their glass is crafted so finely that the light inside glows without distortion, casting warm circles upon the smooth stone paths. Gods and goddesses pass by one another without haste, their voices lowered in quiet exchange. It is not the secrecy of whispers, but the softness of people who have no need to speak loudly to be heard. Beyond the central square lies the Hall of Council, where the gods meet to speak of the 9 realms. Tonight, its doors are closed. The windows are lit from within, their glow spilling onto the courtyard below. No heated debates echo here tonight, only the low murmur of conversation, punctuated by the occasional pause of thought. Even the matters of fate and prophecy seem to move at a slower pace under Asgard's moonlight. By the northern garden stands a colonnade of marble, each column wrapped in climbing ivy. Here gentle fountains spill into shallow basins, and the water's sound seems to fill the space between heartbeats. Some nights one might find Bragi here, seated with his harp across his lap. His fingers move lightly upon the strings, coaxing music that feels like a memory of something half-forgotten, yet comforting. The notes drift through the ivy leaves, settling upon the still waters like petals. Closer to the lake, the swans are not the only ones awake. A few figures move quietly along the shore, perhaps Idun, gathering blossoms that bloom only at night. or Forseti, the god of justice, pacing in thought as he looks over the reflection of the stars. They pass without disturbing the air, leaving only the faint trace of their presence in the ripples upon the water. In the far reaches of the realm, near the golden walls, stands a small shrine to Yggdrasil. Here the roots of the World Tree emerge from the ground, ancient and unyielding. Torches are placed among them, their flames dancing against the bark, casting patterns like veins of molten gold. Some say that if you stand here long enough, you can feel the slow, steady pulse of the tree, as if it is breathing in time with the realm itself. A gentle breeze begins to move through the streets, carrying with it the scent of cedar and crushed herbs. The gardens sigh as their leaves shift softly. Somewhere, a door closes, the sound muffled and unhurried. The realm is preparing to rest, yet not to sleep entirely. Always there is a watch kept, a presence awake. Heimdall remains at his post upon Bifrost, the arc of the bridge glowing faintly under the moon. His gaze remains outward, across the mists toward Midgard, but his stance is easy. It is a vigil of patience, not of dread. The colors of the bridge beneath him shimmer faintly, as though aware of the stillness. Odin, too, walks beneath the stars. Away from the halls and the gardens, he follows the outer paths that skirt the edge of Asgard, where the view falls away into the vastness between realms. His steps are slow, his cloak drawn close against the breeze. Now and then he pauses, looking toward the farthest reaches of the Nine Realms, toward lands where even gods walk rarely. His thoughts are not written on his face, but the weight of them seems to hang in the air, blending with the stillness. As the night deepens, the silver light of the moon mingles with the faint gold of the lanterns. The entire realm seems to float between two kinds of light, neither one stronger than the other, both content to share the sky. The stars grow denser overhead, until they resemble a river of light flowing through the heavens. Eventually, even the soft footsteps in the streets fade away. Doors are closed, windows darkened. The only sounds are the breeze in the gardens, the occasional ripple on the lake, and the low, steady rush of the fountains. In Valhalla, the great hearth continues to glow, its embers pulsing softly like the heart of the realm. And so under its endless sky, Asgard rests. The golden realm waits, not in idleness, but in readiness, calm, steady, eternal. Here, in the heart of the Nine Realms, peace is not an interruption between storms. It is the air itself, the ground beneath the feet, the very shape of the horizon. Here in the shining realm of the gods, the night does not end in dreams. It is the dream. The whole of Asgard breathes together, each heartbeat in tune with the others, each moment unhurried. And in that deep golden calm, the realm waits for the first light of dawn, when the cycle will begin again, slow and sure, as it always has. Beneath the shimmering bridge of Bifrost, far below the golden towers of Asgard, there lies a world suspended between sky and sea, between light and shadow. This is Midgard, the realm of men, cradled within the roots and branches of Yggdrasil. From the high vantage of the gods, it appears like a living tapestry, every thread a river or road, every knot a village or field, woven in colors that never fade, yet change with every breath of wind. Midgard is a land of many faces, each one turned toward a different season, yet all existing together in a harmony unknown to the hurried march of mortal time. In the far north, winter reigns eternal, its breath a soft mist over frozen lakes and quiet forests. Here, Mountains rise like sleeping giants, their crowns draped in snow that glows blue beneath the pale light of the sun. The air is sharp, but still, carrying the faint scent of pine and the echo of distant wolf howls. Villages huddle close to their fires, and smoke climbs in slow, graceful columns toward the clouds. To the east, spring forever awakens. Green shoots push through damp soil, and meadows ripple like soft waves under the tender fingers of the wind. Blossoms unfurl in colors so bright they seem to hum with their own light. Pale pink, pure white, the shy yellow of new sunlight. Streams run quick and clear, tumbling over smooth stones, their waters singing the oldest songs to the roots of Yggdrasil itself. In these lands, the air is filled with the gentle hum of bees and the laughter of children chasing each other across the grass. In the southern heart of Midgard, summer rests in warm abundance. Fields of golden grain sway under the watchful eye of the sun, and orchards droop with heavy fruit, their scents thick and sweet in the air. The rivers are wide and slow here, mirrors for the cloudless sky above. Fishermen mend their nets along the shore, their hands moving with the memory of generations. At night, fireflies float like drifting stars through the warm darkness, and the songs of the elders rise with the sparks of the campfire, telling stories of heroes, gods, and the hidden things that walk between the worlds. To the west, autumn drapes the land in russet, gold, and deep crimson. Forests whisper under the weight of fallen leaves, and the air smells faintly of smoke and ripe apples. Paths wind through the trees to small cottages, their windows glowing amber against the early dusk. Hunters move quietly through the undergrowth, not with haste but with reverence, for they know the forest is not empty. It listens. And sometimes in the quiet between footfalls, a figure of antlers and shadow can be glimpsed, vanishing like breath on glass. Each season touches the others gently, as if aware of the fragile balance that binds them. Snowmelt from the northern peaks feeds the rivers that water the eastern meadows. Summer's warmth ripens autumn's orchards. Autumn's falling leaves drift into winter's snow and vanish, feeding the roots beneath. This is Midgard's magic, not the flash of lightning nor the roar of thunder, but the quiet turning of the wheel, so steady and certain that even the gods pause to watch. Yet Midgard is not untouched by the stories of the Nine Realms. Along its coasts, ancient rune stones stand like guardians, their surfaces worn by wind and wave but still etched with lines of power. They speak of battles fought long before the memory of men, of oaths sworn under moonlight, of gifts and curses laid upon the land. In the high passes of the north, there are stones that bear Thor's footprints, pressed into the rock as if it were clay. In the deep forests of the west, there are clearings where the grass never grows, places said to be the footprints of giants. The people of Midgard live close to these stories. They build their homes where rivers bend, where the earth is rich and the winds are kind. They pass down the names of the hills, the songs of the rivers, the warnings whispered by the old trees. At the center of every village there is a fire that has burned since the founding, tended carefully, for it is more than warmth. It is the thread that ties the living to all who came before. When the sun dips low, Midgard shifts. Shadows stretch across the fields, and the colors of the seasons deepen. Winter's snow turns silver under the moon, and the ice on the lakes glows faintly, as if lit from within. Spring's blossoms close their petals, keeping safe the light they gathered in the day. Summer's fields exhale the last heat into the cooling air, and autumn's forests grow still, holding their breath for the night. The night in Midgard is not silent. It hums with the soft chorus of life, the crackle of a distant hearth, the whisper of leaves, the far-off call of an owl. Sometimes in the lull between these sounds, another presence can be felt. Not threatening, not near, just watching, as if the land itself dreams alongside its people. Above it all, the stars burn bright, their constellations familiar yet shifting. Sailors chart their courses by them, and shepherds count the hours until dawn. In the highest places, where the air is thin and clear, one can see a faint glimmer of Bifrost. Like a ribbon of frost and fire binding heaven and earth, Midgard sleeps not in stillness, but in the rhythm of breath and tide. The sea sighs against the shore, the wind turns in the branches, the rivers speak in their endless flowing. And in the dreams of its people, gods walk once more, giants tread the edge of the world, and the world serpent stirs far beneath the waves. It is said that as long as these dreams endure, Midgard will endure. For this realm is not just a place, but a living memory of warmth and frost, of sowing and reaping, of light and shadow dancing on the same horizon. Here, the seasons do not follow. They embrace, each one holding the others in a circle that never breaks. And so, under the watch of the gods and the quiet guardians of the land, Midgard rests. Not idle, not unknowing, but steady, like the pulse of the earth itself. In its valleys and on its peaks, in the heart of its forests and the spray of its seas, the realm of men breathes in harmony with all the worlds. Far beyond the golden horizon of Asgard, past the shimmering arc of Bifrost, there lies a realm where the air is older than memory, and the mountains are older than the gods. This is Jotunheim, the land of the giants, where ice and stone rule, and the wind carries the weight of 1,000 winters. From afar, Jotunheim appears like the vast, slumbering form of a titan. Its jagged ridges rise into the sky like the bones of the earth itself, and its valleys sink deep into the shadows of time. Mists cling to the slopes, curling and twisting as if they have a mind of their own, hiding and revealing the peaks in slow, deliberate breaths. Even the light here seems heavy, filtered through a pale sky that carries the faint glimmer of distant stars, even in the day. To approach Jotunheim is to feel the world change under your feet. The ground hardens, the air grows colder and sharper, each breath drawing a line of frost in the lungs. The silence deepens until it feels almost physical, pressing in around you. There are no bird song or rustling leaves here, only the slow groan of ice, the distant roar of a waterfall trapped half in stone, and the soft sigh of the wind through the high passes. The mountains stand like sentinels, vast and immovable. Their flanks are scarred with ancient avalanches, and their crowns are draped in snow so pure it glows blue in the dim light. Between them, narrow valleys open, their floors blanketed with drifts so deep they could swallow a man whole. The wind here does not howl. It hums, low and steady, as if singing an endless song that began before the first dawn. In that quiet, shadows move. Far along a ridge, a massive shape shifts, a figure tall as a tower, broad as a fortress wall. The giants of Jotunheim do not hurry. Their steps are slow, deliberate, each one carrying the weight of centuries. Their skin is the color of weathered stone, their hair long and pale as the snow, their eyes like shards of frozen lakes. From a distance they are indistinguishable from the cliffs they walk upon. Only when they move does one realize the mountain itself was alive. Travel deeper, and the land opens into frozen rivers that gleam like silver under a sun that never warms. Bridges of raw stone arch over them, shaped not by human hands but by the patient force of wind and ice. Here the air smells faintly of iron and salt, as though the sea is near, though no sea can be seen. Clusters of massive dwellings rise from the valleys, villages of the giants. Each hall is built from boulders larger than a mortal home, their walls towering like ramparts. Roofs of whole tree trunks lie layered thick with turf and snow, designed to withstand the storms that roll in from the north. Smoke drifts lazily from chimney stones the size of watchtowers, curling into the air with no urgency at all. The giants' lives move at the pace of glaciers, unhurried yet unstoppable. Near these settlements, great stone monoliths stand. Each is covered in runes carved deep into the rock, their grooves filled with frost and shadow. At night, when the moon is high and the stars are sharp, the runes gleam faintly as if lit from within. They tell stories too old for mortal tongues to pronounce, tales of the first battles between the gods and the giants, of pacts sworn in ice and broken in fire, of names now lost to the snow. Some of these stones lie toppled, half buried in drifts, yet the stories etched upon them remain, guarded by the wind. The giants hunt in silence. In the endless forests that cling to the lower slopes, they move like ghosts among the pines. Spears as long as ships' masts rest upon their shoulders, and they tread without sound. For in this realm, even predators show respect to the stillness. When they strike, it is swift, efficient, without waste, every part of the hunt honored, every life taken with purpose. There are passes in Jotunheim that only the giants know, narrow cuts through the rock where mist curls thick and pale, hide the entrances to caverns that plunge deep into the bones of the mountains. Within, the air grows warmer, the stone walls wet with condensation, and echoes multiply until a single step sounds like a procession. Some say these tunnels stretch for leagues, linking Jotunheim to the far edges of Midgard, even touching the frozen gates of Niflheim. When night falls, the mountains are crowned with light. The aurora borealis sweeps across the sky in vast curtains of green, violet, and gold. They ripple and twist in silence, casting strange shadows over the snowfields. To some they appear as the shapes of warriors locked in combat. To others they are the dancing spirits of the dead. The giants watch these lights with solemn eyes, for they believe the aurora carries the whispers of their ancestors. In the villages, fires are kindled in great stone hearths, not to chase away the cold, for the giants are born to it, but to mark the time for stories. Seated in circles, their voices rise and fall like distant thunder as they recount the sagas of the First Age. They speak of Ymir, the primordial giant whose body became the world, of the rivers that flowed from his wounds, giving life to the seas, of the day Odin's spear first struck Jotun blood. These stories are told not with bitterness, but with the slow dignity of a people who have seen too much to be surprised by war or peace. And then as the night deepens, quiet returns. One by one, the great halls fall silent, the fires dying down to embers. The giants sleep with the patience of mountains, their breath slow, their dreams long. Outside, the wind resumes its wandering, brushing over the snow, curling around the rune stones and carrying the timeless hum of Jotunheim into the endless dark. For here, danger and serenity walk hand in hand. Every step is shadowed by the memory of old conflicts, yet every breath is drawn in a land so still it could lull the fiercest warrior to sleep. Jotunheim does not seek to harm, nor to welcome. It simply is. A realm unmoved by the passage of time, waiting for the next chapter in the song of the Nine Realms. Beyond the misted boundaries of Midgard, past the high ridges that cradle the mortal world, there lies a realm where the air itself seems to hum with life. This is Vanaheim, the home of the Vanir, gods of fertility, prosperity, and the deep rhythms of the earth. Here time does not move in the straight lines mortals know. Instead, it folds and sways like a field of wheat in the wind. In Vanaheim, all seasons are present at once. Spring blossoms unfold beside autumn's golden leaves. Summer's warmth ripens the fields even as winter's frost clings to the shaded hollows. To step into Vanaheim is to feel the very pulse of Yggdrasil's roots. The land rolls gently in soft green waves, dotted with ancient oaks and birches whose trunks twist like the dance of old rivers. Between the hills lie lakes so still they reflect the sky without a ripple, and streams so clear they seem made of liquid light. The air is rich with the scent of flowering meadows, wood smoke from distant hearths, and the faint tang of rain that never fully leaves the air. In the morning light, the mists rise from the lowlands in slow spirals, drifting between the trees and over the fields. Here, the soil is black and deep, and every seed that falls into it springs to life. Crops grow in abundance without the toil and strain mortals endure. The very ground is generous, as though it remembers each hand that has ever sown it and rewards them in kind. Among the fields walk the Vanir themselves. Tall and radiant, their presence carries the calm authority of rivers and forests. They are not armored like the Aesir, for war is not their constant companion. Instead, they wear flowing garments dyed in the colors of the earth: ochre, moss green, the soft gold of ripened barley. Their hair often holds braids of wildflowers or threads of spun gold, and their eyes shine with a light that seems drawn from the heart of the seasons themselves. They speak slowly, their words carrying the weight of patience. To a Vanir, a century is as a summer's day, and no harvest is hurried, for the cycles of the world cannot be forced. They are the keepers of the quiet pacts between land and life, the ones who know when the rains will come and when the frost will yield. In Vanaheim's villages, life flows like a gentle river. Homes are built of timber and thatch, their beams carved with spirals, leaves, and animal shapes. Gardens spill over with herbs, vegetables, and flowers, tended not in strict rows but in the wild harmony that nature itself prefers. At the center of each village lies the hearth hall, where the Vanir gather to share food, song, and story. The air is often filled with the music of lyres and flutes, the voices of singers weaving tales of creation and renewal. Here the feasts are not simply meals, they are ceremonies of gratitude. Tables overflow with bread still warm from the oven, fruits heavy with juice, game roasted over slow-burning coals, and mead made from the honey of golden hives. At such gatherings the Vanir give thanks not to themselves but to the balance of all things: the rain, the sun, the earth, and the unseen forces that bind them together. And yet beneath this serenity, there is a depth that cannot be measured by sight. The Vanir are ancient, as old as the first roots of Yggdrasil, and they have known both peace and strife. The war with the Aesir is long past, sealed with oaths and the exchange of hostages, but its memory remains like the echo of distant thunder. The Vanir do not dwell on it, yet they have not forgotten. In the quiet moments when the wind shifts and the shadows lengthen, one can sense the weight of ages in their gaze. The rivers of Vanaheim are unlike any others. Some run warm, their waters rich with minerals that heal and renew. Others are cold and swift, tumbling over stones worn smooth by centuries. Along their banks grow willows that trail their branches into the current, and in the shallows, silver fish dart in flashes of light. In certain places the rivers split into countless smaller channels, weaving through meadows before joining again in the lowlands, as though the water itself enjoys wandering. Forests cover much of the realm, their canopies alive with birdsong. In the spring-lit corners, blossoms unfurl beside the last frost of winter. In the golden autumn groves, apples fall even as new buds open. Deer wander freely, unafraid, for the Vanir do not hunt without need. Here, life is not taken lightly, and every death is honored with song. The nights in Vanaheim are deep and warm, lit by the glow of hearth fires and the silver of the moon. In the great hall of Njord, god of the sea and the winds, the air smells faintly of salt and pine resin. His walls are adorned with carvings of ships, waves, and seabirds in flight. For though Vanaheim lies far from the open ocean, Njord's presence binds the land to the sea. Freyr, lord of the harvest, walks often among his people. It is said that wherever his feet touch the earth, flowers spring forth, and that the golden light of the sun bends gently toward him. Freya, his sister, moves like the shifting seasons, her eyes holding both the joy of blooming fields and the sorrow of falling leaves. She tends to matters of the heart and the unseen threads of fate, for the Vanir know that love and loss are as essential to life as sun and rain. As night deepens, the songs grow softer, the firelight dimmer. The stars above Vanaheim are many, yet they seem closer than in other realms, as if leaning in to listen. The breeze carries the scent of earth and flowers, and the quiet hum of life never ceases. Sleep comes easily here, for the land itself seems to cradle those who rest upon it. And in dreams, Vanaheim reveals its deeper face. Meadows stretch beyond sight, rivers shimmer with colors unknown to waking eyes, and the voices of the Vanir speak in words that are more feeling than sound. They remind the dreamer that life is not a straight path but a circle, turning endlessly through birth, growth, decline, and renewal. Here in the gentle land of fertility, the heart learns to move with the seasons, not in haste, not in resistance, but in harmony. And as the dawn comes again, mist rising from the fields, Vanaheim stands unchanged, eternal in its giving, patient in its watching, and quiet in its strength. Far along the branches of Yggdrasil, beyond the bright golden halls of Asgard and the mist-veiled meadows of Vanaheim, there lies a realm where the air itself seems woven from light. This is Alfheim, the home of the light elves, delicate, radiant beings whose every movement is like a whisper in the wind, whose every glance holds the shimmer of dawn. In Alfheim, the sun never blazes nor sets. Instead, the land rests in an eternal hour of early morning, where the sky glows in soft hues of gold, rose, and pearl. This light is not harsh but gentle and clear, touching every leaf, every stone, every ripple of water with a tender hand. The forests here are vast and endless, their trees tall and slender, their bark pale as silver, their leaves like emerald glass lit from within. Yet Alfheim is not all brightness. Between the columns of the trees, shadows pool in velvety depths, cool and inviting. It is here, in the interplay of light and shadow, that the realm's true beauty emerges. Shafts of sunlight pierce the canopy in slender beams, drifting with dust motes that turn slowly in the air. A single step can take you from warm radiance into a cool dusk, and both are equally serene. The elves themselves walk these woods with unhurried grace. They move as if they are part of the forest, so much so that sometimes it is hard to tell where a figure ends and a tree begins. Their garments are spun from fine threads of light and shadow, shimmering when they pass into the sun, softening into mist when they step into shade. Hair falls like streams of molten silver or spun gold, catching and reflecting the light. Their eyes are bright as dewdrops in the morning sun, yet deep as the oldest pools in the forest. Streams wander through Alfheim, their waters so clear they appear almost invisible, save for the gleam of pebbles on their beds. The elves follow their curves, for the water is sacred here. It carries the memory of the first rains that ever fell in the 9 realms. Bridges of living wood span these streams, formed by trees that have bent toward each other over centuries, their branches entwining until they became one. In the heart of the forest lie the glades, open spaces where the light falls unhindered. Here the grass is soft as silk, and flowers bloom in colors unseen in other realms. Pale blue as ice, seen through sunlight, red like the last glow of a fading star, gold that seems to hum faintly in the still air. These glades are where the elves gather for their dances and songs. Their music is not like that of men. It does not come from instruments alone, though silver flutes and harp strings weave through it. Much of their music comes from the forest itself, the rustle of leaves in a certain rhythm, the murmur of streams blending with voices, the high call of a bird that joins the melody. Sometimes, in the quiet before dawn, the whole realm seems to breathe in time with the song. Alfheim's dwellings are not imposed upon the land, they grow with it. Homes are shaped into the trunks of great trees, their walls open to the air yet protected by living canopies. Ladders of woven vine climb from one level to another, and lanterns made from crystal flowers glow faintly at night. There is no division between indoors and outdoors. Here, life flows without walls. The elves tend to the forest with a care that is less like stewardship and more like kinship. They speak to the trees, not in words but in thoughts, and the trees answer in the slow, deep language of roots and rings. They nurture the smallest flowers as they would a child, and they do not pluck a single leaf without cause. For them, beauty is not to be harvested, but to be shared. In the deeper groves, the light fades into a soft twilight even at midday. It is here that the oldest trees stand, their trunks wide as houses, their crowns lost in mist. These are the ancient elders of Alfheim, and the elves treat them as living temples. Beneath their boughs, offerings of flowers, water, and small carved stones are laid in silence. It is said that the spirits of the forest dwell here, watching over the realm as they have for ages beyond memory. Not all of Alfheim is forest. There are high meadows where the grass ripples like water under the wind, and the air is filled with the hum of bees and the scent of honey. There are crystal-clear lakes that hold the reflection of the sky so perfectly that it is hard to know where the water ends and the heavens begin. At night, these lakes mirror the stars, so that one can walk along their shores and feel as though they are adrift between two skies. The elves do not war, they do not conquer, yet they are not helpless. Their bows are strung with silver threads, their arrows tipped with starlight, and their aim is true beyond mortal comprehension. When they must defend their realm, they do so with the swiftness of light through leaves, appearing and vanishing, their footsteps no louder than the fall of a petal. But such times are rare. More often, Alfheim is filled with the murmur of quiet conversation, the laughter of children playing among the roots, the low hum of 100 bees moving from bloom to bloom. Here, time itself seems to grow drowsy, leaning into the long, unbroken hours of dawn. As evening approaches, though the light hardly changes, the fireflies emerge. Their glow drifts upward, mingling with the faint lantern light in the trees. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and crushed flowers. In the glades, the elves gather once more, and the music begins again, slower now, softer, the notes falling like feathers into the night. And then comes the stillness. The forest holds its breath, the streams whisper more quietly, and the stars, far above yet somehow close, glisten through the branches. In this moment, Alfheim is a cradle of peace, rocking all who walk its paths into dreams. For those who sleep here, the dreams are always the same, a place of endless light and gentle shadow, where every step leads to something beautiful, and nothing ever truly ends. Alfheim is not just a realm in the 9 worlds. It is the memory of the first morning, kept alive for all eternity. Deep beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, where sunlight cannot pierce and the air grows heavy with silence, there lies a realm hidden in shadow. This is Svartalfheim, the world of the dark elves. It is not a place of endless blackness, but of subtle radiance, where shadow and fire, stone and glimmer weave together to create a beauty all its own. The path downward begins in silence. At first, the tunnels seem empty, their walls damp with the breath of the earth, cool against the skin. The sound of the world above fades, replaced by the low murmur of dripping water and the occasional echo that seems to come from nowhere. Yet as one walks deeper, a faint glow begins to appear, small sparks as though embers had been scattered through the stone. Soon, the sparks become flames. Torches fixed to walls of iron cast flickering light, not steady but alive, shifting shadows across jagged rock. Here the silence is broken. The air hums with distant rhythm, low, heavy, steady. It is the sound of hammers striking anvils, echoing from chamber to chamber like a heartbeat of the earth itself. In Svartalfheim, darkness is not emptiness. It is a canvas, and upon it the dark elves paint with flame and metal. Caverns open suddenly, vast halls carved by hand and by time. Their ceilings vanish into shadow, but their floors shine with rivers of molten ore, flowing in channels cut by the elves' skill. Crystals sprout from the walls, glowing faintly with inner fire, casting colors that shimmer across stone. Reds, blues, and deep purples ripple like breathing jewels, transforming the dark into a shifting gallery of light. The dark elves are not tall like the gods, nor fair like the light elves. They are of the earth, strong, compact, their faces sharp and angular as carved rock. Their eyes gleam like coals in shadow, catching firelight and sparks. Their garments are plain, woven from leather and stone thread, but their hands are never still. In every chamber they work, hammering, carving, shaping. Each blow of the hammer rings with purpose, each strike shaping not only metal but destiny. Their forges burn with unnatural fire, blue and green flames that leap from furnaces of black stone. They shape weapons that gleam with starlight, armor that seems to hum with its own power, ornaments delicate as spider silk, yet stronger than iron. Every creation is a marriage of craft and magic, for the dark elves are not only smiths, but keepers of hidden knowledge. Yet there is no haste in Svartalfheim. Though their hammers beat in steady rhythm, it is not frantic, but meditative. The elves move with calm precision, as though time itself bends slower in their halls. Their work is eternal, not meant for completion, but for continuity. One piece ends, another begins. The fire never dies, the hammer never rests. It is a song of persistence, steady and endless. In the deeper chambers, where few eyes but their own have seen, the dark elves keep wonders beyond counting. Chests of gemstones that glow faintly as though lit from within. Blades so sharp they cut the air itself, resting silent on stone pedestals. Crowns wrought of gold and iron, etched with runes that shimmer faintly when touched by flame. Some of these treasures are gifts, sent upward to Asgard or beyond. Others are hidden, secrets kept within the stone, waiting for a day when they might be needed. The air here is heavy, warm with the breath of fire and iron, yet strangely comforting. To linger in these caverns is to feel the pulse of creation itself. Every drip of water from the ceiling, every echo of hammer on anvil, every hiss of molten ore cooling into form carries a rhythm, like a lullaby sung in stone. One could sit beside the forges and drift into dreams, the glow of embers casting soft light across closed eyes. Despite the realm's shadowed nature, Svartalfheim is not without beauty. The elves cultivate gardens of stone where crystals bloom like flowers, their light shimmering in clusters of pale violet and deep sapphire. Pools of clear water reflect the glow of fire, sending ripples of gold and crimson across the walls. Even the smoke that drifts upward from the forges coils in slow, elegant shapes, as though dancing in time with the rhythm of the hammers. The dark elves themselves speak little. Their language is not of words but of sound and gesture, a nod of approval, the slow passing of a finished blade from hand to hand, the resonance of hammer meeting anvil at the perfect moment. Silence is as precious as ore to them. In silence they work, in silence they rest, and in silence they create wonders that will outlast ages. Some say they are secretive, even dangerous, for they know the deep magics of stone and fire. But their secrecy is not malice. It is reverence. They guard what they know because it was given by the earth itself, whispered from the roots of Yggdrasil into the veins of rock. To share too freely would be to diminish the sacredness of the gift. And so they remain, half hidden, their existence felt more in the artifacts they shape than in their presence. A sword that gleams with moonlight, an amulet that wards off flame, a ring that carries whispers of foresight. All these bear the mark of Svartalfheim. To hold such a thing is to hold a fragment of their realm, a piece of the earth's secret heart. At times, when the fires are low and the hammers rest, the dark elves gather in their hidden halls. They sit by the rivers of molten ore, their faces lit from below, their eyes gleaming in the glow. They do not sing, but they hum, low and deep, a sound like the rumble of the earth itself. It is not a song for others, but for themselves, a reminder that they are part of the stone, the flame, the endless rhythm. Beyond their halls in the silent reaches of Svartalfheim lie tunnels that stretch endlessly into shadow. No light reaches here, save for the faint glimmer of crystals embedded in rock. The air is cool and still, and the silence is absolute. It is said that these passages lead to places unknown, where the earth folds into secrets even the elves have not uncovered. To wander there is to step beyond time, into the deep breathing of the world. And so Svartalfheim rests, not in brilliance, not in glory, but in persistence. Its beauty is not the beauty of light, but of depth. Its music is not of flutes or harps, but of hammers and echoes. It is a realm where creation never ceases, where silence and fire dance together, where shadows are alive with hidden wonder. Here, beneath the roots of the cosmos, the dark elves keep their eternal vigil. They forge not only weapons and treasures, but the balance of the 9 realms themselves. Their hands are calloused, their eyes sharp, their hearts steady. And though the world above may forget them, the rhythm of their hammers continues, steady as the heartbeat of the earth. And in that rhythm, low, deep, endless, there is peace. Beneath the farthest reaches of Yggdrasil's roots, beyond the warmth of hearth and the light of stars, lies a realm where frost and silence hold dominion. This is Niflheim, the frozen mist realm. It is a land of breathless stillness, where the air itself is a veil of pale vapor and the ground is a tapestry of endless frost. Here, The hush of the world gathers, not as a void, but as a presence, a softness of silence that cradles all who step within. The journey into Niflheim begins with a slow descent, as though one were sinking into layers of sleep. First comes the dimming of light. The golden hues of day fade to silver, then gray, until only a pearlescent glow remains. The sky, if it can be called such, is a ceiling of mist without sun or moon, yet never truly dark. The light here has no source and no shadow, as though the realm itself glows faintly from within, like ice catching starlight. Each step upon its ground is muffled, cushioned by frost that never melts. Rivers thread the land, but they are not rivers of water as the world above knows them. They are frozen in mid-flow, their surfaces glassy and still, their depths holding the memory of motion long ceased. Beneath the ice, shapes shift slowly, as if time itself were trapped, moving only in dreams. The mist is alive in Niflheim. It drifts and curls like slow breath, wrapping around stones and frozen trees, coiling gently around the ankles of travelers. Sometimes it thickens into veils, hiding the path ahead. Other times it thins, revealing glimpses of the land like a secret reluctantly shown. Yet always it moves with patience, as though the entire realm breathes in rhythm with its fog. Though silence reigns here, it is not empty. The very stillness hums, faint and low, like the lingering note of a forgotten song. If one listens closely, one might hear the memory of rushing water, the echo of winds that once roared through Ginnungagap when the first ice met the first flame. For Niflheim is old, older than Asgard, older than Midgard. It is one of the first realms born from the primal void, carrying within it the cold breath of creation itself. The land stretches vast, but not harsh. There are valleys of crystalline frost, their walls glimmering with pale blue light. There are plains where snowflakes drift slowly, yet never fall, suspended in the air as though time forgot its duty. Frozen forests stand like statues, their branches encased in ice, each tree glistening like a sculpture wrought of glass. There is beauty here, though it is not the beauty of color or song. It is the beauty of stillness, the serenity of a world at rest. To wander Niflheim is to walk in a dream where nothing presses forward, where nothing demands haste. Even the air carries weight, slowing the body, quieting the mind, coaxing the heart into calm. Yet within this calm rests a quiet power. The rivers that sleep beneath their ice are the same that feed into the roots of Yggdrasil. Their waters, though frozen here, drift onward unseen, carrying the essence of frost and mist into every other realm. Life and death alike drink from them. In this way, Niflheim is not only a place of silence, but of sustenance. It is the hidden breath that keeps the universe in balance. Few beings dwell openly in this realm. Shadows sometimes stir within the fog, shapes neither hostile nor welcoming, simply present. Perhaps they are spirits of frost, ancient remnants of the first mists. Perhaps they are dreams caught in the ice, taking form for a moment before dissolving again. They do not speak, yet their presence is felt as though the realm itself were aware of those who wander through it. The heart of Niflheim lies deeper still, where the rivers converge in endless slumber. It is said that Hvergelmir, the roaring cauldron, lies there, a spring from which countless streams flow, weaving into the roots of the great tree. Around it, the air is thick with mist, and the frost glows faintly blue as if lit from beneath. One can stand at its edge and feel the pulse of the 9 realms, slow and steady, like the breathing of a giant in slumber. Here near Hvergelmir the mists are thickest, They move not with the randomness of wind, but with purpose, swirling in quiet spirals, drifting in rhythms that seem almost like music. To watch them is to fall into trance, to feel eyelids grow heavy, to surrender thought and let silence carry the soul into rest. It is as though the realm itself sings a lullaby, woven not with notes but with fog and frost. Though legends speak of danger in Niflheim, of hell's shadow and the boundary it shares with Helheim, these belong to another face of the realm. In its essence, Niflheim is not cruel. It does not strike. It does not burn. It does not rage. It simply is, a place of eternal rest, a balance to fire and frenzy. To stand within it is to know that silence has a shape, that stillness can cradle, that cold can comfort, and so the realm endures. Mists drift, ice holds, rivers sleep, and the heartbeat of the earth whispers beneath. Time here is not measured in days or nights, but in breaths of frost, in ripples of fog, in the slow glimmer of frozen rivers. Niflheim teaches that rest is not absence but presence, that in the pause, in the hush, lies the essence of eternity. And for those who linger, who close their eyes and breathe the mist, Niflheim becomes not only a realm, but a dream of still waters, of frozen forests, of silence without fear, a dream of the universe's first breath, carried still in the cold embrace of fog. Here beneath the roots of all that is, Niflheim whispers its truth, that in stillness there is life, that in frost there is peace, that in silence there is eternity, and so it rests, and so it waits, endless, gentle, eternal. Far across the vast branches of Yggdrasil, beyond the gentle rivers of Vanaheim and the misted silence of Niflheim, there lies a realm where warmth itself takes form, where light is not borrowed from the sun or moon, but rises endlessly from its own heart. This is Muspelheim, the realm of eternal fire. It is not a land of sudden destruction, nor a place where flames rage wildly. Instead, it is a world of slow-burning embers, of endless glowing horizons, of fire that dances like a lullaby. Here the air glows, not harsh but soft, filled with the warmth of eternal flame. The skies are painted in shades of deep crimson, amber, and molten gold, and though there is no night, the horizon shifts gently as though fire itself were breathing. The light does not scorch, it does not blind. Instead, it settles upon the skin like a warm blanket, wrapping wanderers in a comfort that belongs only to this realm. The ground of Muspelheim is shaped by ancient flows of molten stone, cooled and then warmed again, sculpted by time into smooth curves and gentle valleys. Between these valleys, rivers of fire drift like slow-moving streams. Their surfaces glow with orange and red, but deep within they shine with hidden blues and silvers, like stars that forgot the sky and chose to live beneath the earth. The flames of Muspelheim are never hurried. They flicker with the patience of a candle in the stillness of night. They rise and fall like breath, like the gentle sway of tall grass under summer wind. Some curl upward, slow spirals of gold, while others ripple along the ground in waves of molten light. To stand among them is not to fear burning, but to feel time loosen its hold, to let the restless heart grow heavy, to let thoughts drift into stillness. For Muspelheim is not merely a place of destruction. It is creation's first warmth, the spark that once touched the ice of Niflheim in the great void of Ginnungagap. From that meeting came rivers, oceans, lands, and life itself. The fire here remembers that beginning, and so it burns not only to consume but to cradle. Each ember carries a memory of the world's first dawn, when the nothingness of the void first grew heavy with possibility. At the heart of this realm stands Surtur, the guardian of flame. Legends tell of his fiery sword, brighter than the sun, and of his destined role at the world's end. Yet here, now, he waits in silence. He does not storm nor strike. He sits upon his throne of fire, carved not of stone but of flame itself, watching the rivers drift, the embers dance, the horizon glow. His presence is vast, but not oppressive. He is like a mountain of heat, a constant force that hums through the realm, steady, unyielding, patient. To approach Muspelheim is to step into an endless twilight, where flame becomes dream. Travelers describe the way sound softens here. The crackling of fire does not roar but whispers, 1,000 small voices singing gently like the hush of wind through leaves. Sometimes, if one listens closely, the flames seem to shape themselves into patterns of rhythm, a heartbeat carried upon air. It is this rhythm that lulls the weary into calm, that slows the restless mind, that draws the body toward rest. The skies of Muspelheim hold no stars, and yet they are never empty. Curtains of flame drift above like slow auroras, bending and folding across the heavens in colors of gold and crimson. They move not with haste but with grace, a cosmic dance of warmth. When they touch the horizon, the rivers below glow brighter, as though answering the skies with their own fiery song. There are no forests here, no seas as mortals know them, no meadows or snow. Yet the realm is not barren. Instead of trees, there are spires of cooled obsidian, black as night, standing tall against the horizon. Their surfaces glimmer faintly with reflected fire, each one a monument carved by flame. Instead of seas, there are plains of smoldering stone, where embers lie scattered like a field of glowing flowers, each one rising, blooming, fading, and glowing anew in an endless cycle. Creatures dwell in Muspelheim, though few have seen them clearly. Shapes of flame wander the rivers, moving like fish in slow currents. Others rise like birds of fire, their wings glowing before dissolving into sparks. Even in their presence there is no alarm, no frenzy, only the quiet sense that fire is alive and aware, watching gently as it burns. Sometimes among the embers one may glimpse figures, spirits born of flame perhaps. They appear and vanish in the rhythm of fire, their faces flickering like shadows upon walls. Some walk in silence, some lift their arms as though in greeting, and some simply dissolve into the air as mist does in sunlight. They carry no malice, only the same calm that fills the entire realm. In the deepest heart of Muspelheim lies a great flame, the eternal hearth. It is said to be the first fire that ever burned, older than Yggdrasil itself, and that from it the spark of life was kindled. Around this flame, the air glows brighter, yet never painful to the eye. To sit beside it is to feel the warmth of ages, to know that even as ice and shadow linger in other realms, here there will always be fire to balance them. The eternal hearth is not a roaring inferno, but a steady glow, its flame tall and slow, as though time itself bows to its rhythm. It is here, near the hearth, that Muspelheim reveals its truest nature. The fire is not an enemy. It is not hunger, nor fury. It is rest in motion, warmth without demand. It burns with patience, promising that even at the end of all things, when worlds collapse and stars fall silent, there will still be fire to cradle the dark. And so Muspelheim waits. Its rivers drift, its skies fold, its guardian watches, and its hearth glows. Not with haste, not with anger, but with the slow certainty of eternity. For fire, like sleep, is both end and beginning. It consumes the old to make way for the new, and in its embrace, the weary find peace. To dream of Muspelheim is to dream of warmth eternal, to close one's eyes and hear the whisper of embers, to feel the gentle weight of heat upon the skin, to watch the slow auroras of flame drift across the heavens. It is to rest within the universe's first cradle, and as the wanderer drifts, lulled by warmth and silence, Muspelheim whispers its truth, that fire is not only destruction, that warmth is not only fleeting, that in the glow of eternal flame one can find both rest and eternity, and so the realm endures, quiet, glowing, eternal. Far beneath the dim horizons of the living world, past the last soft shimmers of Bifrost and the lowest, oldest roots of Yggdrasil, there is a country where sound grows thin and breath grows slow. It is not a place of terror, nor a dungeon of torment. It is a hush with shape. This is Helheim, the silent land of the dead, where the long work of living is set down, and the body of the world holds its own quiet vigil. The way into Helheim does not begin with a door, but with a thinning. Colors lose their edges, bright tones cool toward smoke, metal, and pearl. Footsteps fall softer, as if the ground itself remembers every traveler and asks for gentleness in return. Trees, if there are trees at all, take on the look of pale bones, rimed trunks and delicate branches with frost for leaves, glass for buds. The air carries neither blossom nor rot, only the clean smell of cold stone and still water, a scent like the inside of a winter cave. Light here has no obvious source. It hangs even and patient, as though the sky were a sheet of cloud lit from within. Shadows have round edges. Nothing is sudden. The mist drifts in sheets and ribbons, never rushing, never settling for long. It folds around paths and rises in low breaths from the ground. In it, shapes come and go. A row of standing stones, a bend in a black river, a bridge far off, pale as the inside of a shell. Sometimes a figure passes, a person or the idea of a person, moving without hurry, as if walking in a dream they do not wish to disturb. The first sound one truly notices in Helheim is not a sound at all, but a pressure, a near music just under hearing, the gathered weight of quiet, the low seam where silence stitches the world together. When the wind comes, it comes without teeth. It brushes the mist, it draws a faint line through the frost, and it moves on. Even the rivers, dark and slow, make little noise. Their banks are gray stone, worn to softness by an age of patient water. Across one such river lies a bridge, Yallarbru. From afar it looks like bone or pale wood, but as you draw nearer you see a faded golden sheen preserved along its sides, as if a memory of Bifrost had come down and settled here. Its arches hold low over the still water, its surface is smooth and cold. At the hither end stands a watch, not cruel, not warm, simply present. The guardian's name is Modguder. Her eyes are the color of weathered iron, and she speaks as frost speaks, spare, exact, unhurrying. Who passes? She asks, for that is her task, and whether the traveler is one who belongs or one who merely visits for a while, she knows. A nod is her welcome, and it feels, strangely, as restful as a blanket drawn up to the chin. She does not warn, she does not threaten. She recognizes, and the bridge accepts. The river below is called Gjöll, black water, with a memory of running. Beneath its glass face, a faint movement persists, the echo of flow that once was and will be again when the world shifts its weight. If you watch long enough, you can convince yourself the river is breathing. Mist curls along the bridge rails and drops away in slow threads, unspooling toward the dark. Beyond the bridge, the road widens and the land grows level. There are fields here, not of grass but of frost flowers, thin crystalline sprouts that catch the dull light and answer it with a mild glow. Underfoot the ground is firm and forgiving. It receives a step and gives it back with no sound at all. One might walk for an hour, or a night, or a lifetime. Helheim's clocks are not made of sun and moon. Time is measured by the settling of mist and the lengthening of breath, by the way a thought can travel its arc without interruption. Some say Helheim has no trees, others say it has nothing but trees. The truth is in between. There are groves of low, black-barked trunks with corridors between them, as tidy as a monastery's cloister. Frost hangs in their boughs like pale fruit. When the drift of the air passes through, the frost trembles, and a fine glitter sifts down, making a quiet that is almost a sound. From time to time one finds a marker, a stone carved with runes so old their lines are as shallow as skin. The words are not names in any ordinary sense. They are things like arrival, release, quiet meal, remembered hands. The script feels less like writing and more like the gentle weight of a palm on a shoulder. It steadies the traveler and then lets them go on. All roads here lead outward and inward at once, but if one has patience, the ways converge on a hall. Eldjudnir is its name, though the hall itself does not speak it. Its roof is high and white with slow perpetual rhyme, its doors tall slabs of winter wood banded in dull iron. Light pools at the threshold as if the house were a cup. Inside, warmth and cold sit near each other without dispute. The hall's tables are long and spare. The benches are low and wide, designed for leaning back, for letting the spine rest. The fire, when it burns, burns low and blue, without smoke, smelling faintly of winter apples and clean cloth. Hell's presence is a temperature before it is an image. It is the stripping away of rush. It is the easing of the jaw. Then, if one looks, she is there. A figure in a simple robe, half bright, half dim, as if dawn and dusk had agreed on a truce and met upon her face. One side holds the gentle flush of life, the other holds the cool, uncolored shade of after. Her gaze is steady and exacting, but not hard. It is the look of someone who sees what is there and does not hurry it along. Hell does not call. She does not command. She receives. Those who come to her thresholds do so because the thread of their walking in other fields has ended. Here, a new kind of walking begins. She listens more than she speaks. When she speaks, it is not in law or judgment, but in the practical language of rest. Here is a place to lie down. Here is water. Here is a quiet that will not be taken from you. The names on the furniture are old. In told tales they say her knife is famine and her spoon is hunger, that the bed is sick bed and the threshold is stumbling block. In this gentler truth, the names are not curses but reminders, like labels sewn into the hems of garments, records of what brought a traveler here and, in some distant fashion, what will ease them now. People once lived through hunger and illness, and so those old companions are given a seat by the fire, acknowledged, and then allowed to doze. Near the hall are gardens without soil. Some are made of still water held in shallow stone, their surfaces disturbed only by the weight of memory that sometimes passes like a wind. Others hold small, simple objects under glass: a button, a pencil with its point blunted, a strand of horsehair, a white pebble in a piece of string. To the ones who keep these gardens, such things are anchors. They keep the stories from drifting so far they cannot be found again when someone wishes to remember. Along the outer path stands a low house with a door like a mouth of stone. This is Gnipa Heller, and its sentinel is the old hound Garmr. He is no snapping terror tonight. He lies with his nose upon his paws and watches in the way elder dogs do, entirely and without fuss. When those who belong to the far fields pass by, his ear turns. When those who do not belong pass, his ear turns the other way. It is enough. In a realm where urgency has no purchase, a glance is barrier and welcome both. Rivers braid the underside of Helheim. Each has its story, and each moves on a scale too slow for eyes accustomed to day. Some rivers carry cold, some carry forgetting, some carry the faintest sweetness of the last ripe fruit a traveler ever tasted in the world above. They travel under stone and surface in silver bowls set into courtyards where no wind runs. There, a cup may be lifted to the lip and set down again, and neither hand nor cup will tremble. Sometimes a visitor comes from the living world, a god on an errand, a hero made fragile by love, a singer whose song outlasted the breath that first sang it. The land notes such passings. Mist thickens and parts. Bridges appear where there were none. Paths fold over on themselves like cloth laid back into a drawer. The visitor asks a question. They think they ask it aloud. But in Helheim, all questions are whispers even before the lips begin to shape them. The answer comes at the same depth: a nod, a bowl of water, a doorway that opens not into a chamber, but into a memory the visitor must walk through, quiet and unaccompanied. Often, when the question is answered, the visitor cannot repeat the words of that answer upon returning to the living world. They only know that something in their chest has loosened and that the air above tastes different. Helheim has seasons that do not belong to weather. It has the season of settling, when the newly arrived learn the tone of the place, the season of leveling, when the bright and the dim meet at the same table, the season of waking, when a dream the traveler didn't know they were having arrives of its own accord and sits by the bed until morning. Days are not counted, nights are not named. Instead, a traveler measures time by the length of their own need. When need shortens, so does the season. When need lengthens, the hall makes more space and the hearth shifts over to make room, and no one minds. As for laughter and weeping, both exist, but neither is loud. Laughter here is the exhale after a long-held breath, the kind that empties the lungs and then warms the mouth. Weeping here is a warm cloth on the eyes. Both movements are small and clean, and when they end, they leave no grit behind. If one wanders farther from Eljudnir, one may find the edge of the land where Helheim leans out over a dim gulf. It is not a cliff so much as a soft margin where the ground forgets to be ground. Mists slide off and down until they become their own kind of river. Runes are etched in the stone here as well, lighter and newer, and their words are gentlest of all. Enough. Further on, stay as you like. The gulf is not a threat. It is a promise that there is more quiet than even Helheim can hold. At certain hours, again measured not by sky but by the pulse of the place, the whole realm seems to lean towards sleep. The blue fire in the hearths lowers to a band of light. The mist draws itself into thinner veils. The bridges set down a little deeper into their stones and sigh. Even the old hound at Gnipahellir blinks and lets his chin sink to his paws. In that hour, Helheim speaks in the only voice it truly uses, the gentlest possible imperative. Rest. And resting here is different from the rest of a bed in the middle world. This rest has weight and depth. It includes the body and the story together. It does not cancel, it completes. A traveler who slides into that sleep wakes not to an alarm, but to a level piece of quiet where the next thought sets its feet down sure. Hel's own walk through her hall is likewise moderate. She moves without rustling, and the fabric of her robe does not snag on the roughness of the threshold, because there is no roughness left. Where she goes, the air cools just enough to make the fire's warmth known. Where she stands, the mists make a little space and then come back together without seam. If she places a hand upon a shoulder, it is a hand like a folded blanket, simple, present, enough. There are tales among the living about punishments and shores of serpents, about halls of needles and knives. Those stories belong to cold nights when people are angry at themselves and wish to be caught doing wrong. Helheim does not do that catching, it holds. The unkindness people fear, that ending will sneer at beginning and make it small. That unkindness finds no purchase here. What is finished is allowed to be finished. What continues is allowed to continue. The kindness is ordinary and absolute. In the rare event that a living traveler must return, the path back is not a banishment but a borrowing return to the shelf. Maud Guder waits at the far end of the bridge with the same look she had before. Neither pleased nor displeased, only exact. She tilts her head. Something in the mist tightens like a tying of shoes. The way out unrolls. Go, the place says without voice. Carry a corner of our quiet with you. And they do. People who have walked even a few steps in Helheim find they cannot hurry quite as much afterward. Their sentences grow a little longer at the ends, to make room for the last word to sit down. They let spoons rest on saucers before setting them in sinks. They look at the doors of rooms before they enter them and remember that every threshold has two faces, one for coming in, one for going out, and both deserve a nod. Helheim does not claim that its way is the only way. It is content to be itself. It is a realm given to keeping, to finishing, to holding still. If asked for wisdom, it offers one thing at a time and in small measures. A cup of dark water, a bench by a slow fire, a view of a river that is not moving but will, a hand upon the bedclothes drawing them up to the chin. If one seeks ceremony, Helheim provides the simplest of rites. A traveler sits. Another traveler, barely more than a shadow, sits beside them. They share a bowl of something warm and plain. The bowl is passed back. The two sit a while longer without speaking. Then one lies down and the other stays sitting, watching the flame. At some point the watcher lies down, and someone else takes the watching. There are no drums, no trumpets, only the soft economy of enough. Should the great last day come, the one for which so many other realms have a weapon ready and a speech rehearsed, Helheim's preparation is known and unsurprising. The bridges will settle more firmly, the hall will open more doors, Hel will walk the same measured pace and speak the same small sentences. The hound will put his chin down and keep watch with the same whole watch he has always kept. The duty here is not to end the ending. It is to make a place for it to sit. The longer one stays, the more one learns the grammar of the quiet. It has tenses no other realm does. There is the tense for things that have stopped happening but are still true. There is the tense for things that never happened but are necessary to think. There is the tense for forgiveness that has no object, like a light left on in a room to make it easier for anyone who might need it later. In that grammar, the word for goodbye is simply the word for now with a longer breath afterward. When the chapter of a traveler's walking here grows full, turning the page is easy. The book itself helps. The paper, if paper it is heavy and does not stick. The hand rests at the top of the sheet and draws it down. The next page is as blank as snow. If there are words on it, they do not show yet. The traveler lies back and the spine of the book softens under their head and becomes a pillow. The breath goes out and comes in and goes out again. In Helheim, even the last breath has a next. So the silent land does its work, which is not a task but a posture. It keeps its watch over still rivers and patient bridges, over mists that fold and unfold, over small objects that hold whole lives in the curve of a bowl. It keeps its watch over Eljudnir and the bench by the blue fire, over the soft old dog who knows which way belongs to whom, over stones graven with words that are not names but promises. It keeps its watch over Hell herself, who keeps hers without theatrics or decree. And what it whispers, if it whispers, is nothing more complex than this. Lay down. Lay down the rush, the tally, the bright coin of doing. Lay down and be held by the same ground that held you when you first learned to stand. Lay down, and if you wake, wake easy. Thus Helheim endures, neither hungry nor sated, neither bitter nor sweet, simply level, simply enough. A quiet kept for the whole of things, so that when noise grows too bright anywhere else, there is a place where quiet has been waiting the whole time with its lamp lit, and so the realm rests, and so it waits, endless, gentle, eternal. Beneath all things and above all things there is a tree. Its roots sink into silence, its branches stretch into eternity, and its leaves breathe with the rhythm of all creation. This tree is Yggdrasil, the World Tree, the axis of all realms and the quiet witness to every beginning and every end. When the winds of fire rage, it stands. When the mists of frost smother the horizons, it stands. When gods rise and mortals fall, it stands. And in the still hours when all voices are hushed, Yggdrasil exhales a breath so soft it feels like sleep itself. We have wandered now through the 9 realms that this tree holds. We have stood in the shining courts of Asgard, where golden towers lean against the sky. We have walked the salt-soaked shores of Midgard, where men kindle fires and whisper their brief prayers. We have crossed into the mountains of Jotunheim, where giants breathe like storms against stone. We have drifted across the gentle rivers of Vanaheim, where peace and harvest bind the soil. We have watched the light elves in Alfheim, luminous as dawn upon green leaves. We have descended into the blacksmithing halls of Svartalfheim, glowing with sparks under rock. We have wandered the frozen mists of Niflheim, where time slows into silence. We have felt the warmth of Muspelheim, where fire dances in patient waves. And we have walked the quiet roads of Helheim, where the dead lie in an eternal hush. Each place is different, each place distinct, but all are bound to the same trunk, the same heartbeat, the same slow pulse of life and death. And so here at the end, we must not think of endings as something separate, but as something folded gently back into the beginning. The roots of Yggdrasil sink deep, deeper than thought, deeper than memory. They curl around wells of wisdom, around rivers of origin, around the silent places where even gods tread carefully. In one root lies the well of Urd, where fate is written, where Norns spin their threads of past and present and future. In another lies the well of Mimir, keeper of secrets, whose waters taste of sacrifice and vision. In another lies Hvergelmir, where countless streams pour forth, feeding all worlds with their icy breath. These roots do not fight each other. They do not argue over depth or direction. They spread, quietly, inevitably, like thoughts beneath sleep. And in their weaving they hold together what would otherwise fall apart. They remind us that beginnings are not always loud, and that foundations are not always seen. When one lies in bed at night, drifting toward dreams, is it not like lying among the roots? Darkness all around, warmth holding you, the body heavy as stone, and yet beneath that heaviness flows a secret strength. Sleep itself is a kind of root, a hidden anchor in the soil of being. The branches of Yggdrasil stretch far, further than sight, further than stars. They carry the song of winds, the weight of snow, the shimmer of dew. In their boughs rest the 9 realms themselves, each like a bird nested in shelter. Look at the branches and you will see Asgard resting in gold, Midgard flickering with firelight, Jotunheim hidden in cloud, Vanaheim glittering in rivers, Alfheim glowing like morning, Svartalfheim rumbling like a forge, Niflheim whispering like frost, Muspelheim glowing like ember, and Helheim hushed in shadow. They are not scattered, not strangers. They are leaves on the same crown. And leaves, as you know, grow and fall, bud and wither, green and gold, life and dust. The leaf does not mourn when it falls, for it knows it will feed the roots. The branch does not resist when it bends, for it knows bending is the shape of survival. Yggdrasil teaches, life feeds death, death feeds life, and between them is only change. At the close of our journey, it is right to recall them all, not as places of distance, but as voices in one song. Asgard, high and shining, gave us the image of gods, wise and weary, glorious and doomed. Their halls are eternal in the sense that memory is eternal. They remain not because they are unchanging, but because they are remembered. Midgard, the realm of men, showed us fires in the night, short lives blazing bright and then gone. Yet in their brevity lies their beauty, for a flame that burns only once leaves a sharper light. Jotunheim, wild and mountainous, revealed strength and scale, the untamed roar of existence. Yet even giants grow weary, and even storms must end. Vanaheim, gentle with fields and rivers, taught that peace is not weakness, but a rhythm, a harvest after labor, a calm after storm. Alfheim, radiant and light-touched, reminded us of wonder, of the delicate dance of beauty too fragile to last, and yet too bright to forget. Svartalfheim, dark and echoing, showed us creation in hidden places, sparks rising unseen, labor that sustains worlds without ever seeking praise. Niflheim, mist-choked and frozen, gave us rest in stillness, the peace that comes when time itself grows slow. Muspelheim, fiery and endless, revealed warmth as well as destruction. The fire that consumes is also the fire that comforts. Helheim, shadowed and hushed, taught that death is not cruelty but completion. The final hush after the song, the silence that holds meaning because sound came before it. Together they are not 9 fragments but 9 harmonies, and Yggdrasil is the harp on which they are played. So what is the end? It is not fire alone, though fire will come. It is not frost alone, though frost will remain. It is not silence alone, though silence is waiting. The end is a turning, a curve of the circle, a leaf falling not to vanish but to return as soil, as root, as bud. And what is life? It is the space between breaths, the shimmer between sleep and waking, the leaf before its fall. Yggdrasil shows us that nothing stands apart. Roots and branches are the same wood. Light and shadow are the same turning of the sun. Life and death are the same thread spun forward and back again. The gods know this. The mortals sense this. The giants, the elves, the dwarves, the dead, all are bound whether they name it or not. As we close this journey, imagine Yggdrasil not as a tree of distance, but as a tree within yourself. Its roots are the heaviness of your body sinking into the bed. Its trunk is your breath, rising and falling, steady, patient. Its branches are your thoughts, spreading softly, drifting outward. Its leaves are your dreams, opening gently, curling closed again. The realms are nothing more than states of being, light and dark, fire and frost, wake and rest. And in sleep you walk them all, not hurried, not afraid, but drifting, floating, carried on the great tree's breath. And when the leaf of this night falls, it will not vanish. It will return as morning, as memory, as another night waiting. Beneath the roots above the stars Yggdrasil endures. It has endured fire, it has endured frost, it has endured silence, it has endured song, and it endures you as you endure it. You are not apart from the tree. You are one leaf, one breath, one heartbeat in its endless canopy. Lay down your burdens now. Lay down the noise of day. Lay down the haste and the worry. The tree is vast enough to hold them and vast enough to hold you. And so, the journey ends where it began, in the quiet of the tree, in the rhythm of its breath. Yggdrasil whispers not of endings but of continuance. It whispers not of fear but of rest. It whispers not of loss but of return. Sleep then, as the tree sleeps. Dream then, as the realms dream. And when you wake, wake gently, as a leaf wakes to the dawn.